You're welcome to the interview segment of the Need on the midweek edition. And today we want to look at the federal government's reform that was just overhauled, that is the National Youth Service Corps reform, and since the creation of National Youth Service Corps in 1973, this is a major reform overall, and this reform was approved actually some days ago, and this approval will mean that every of the reforms, the key reforms that were mentioned, will take effect. But the effect will also be after the amendment of NYSC Act as the time went by. Now we want to discuss these reforms, the implication of these reforms of Nigeria on youth, employability, and what we should know about these reforms. This is what will be our focus from now till about 10:30. Our gentlemen are in the studio to do justice to our topic. The topic is NYSC reform, the sweeping reform, and what its effect will be. We have Ustaz Jope Lawa in the house with us. He is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Ustaz.
It's a pleasure. Good morning to you.
And Dr. Kunle Ashimi is also here in the studio with us. He's the Chief Medical Officer from the Federal Medical Center here in Abeokuta. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
My colleague will join in the conversation and also ask questions from these two gentlemen, and together we'll be doing the program from now till about 10:30. He is Taiwo Fabajo. Good morning, Taiwo.
Good morning, Nigerians, and welcome to the studio, our guests. Now, let's start. When this issue was raised recently, those in charge said NYSC must move from a mobilization scheme to a national development platform. National development, which part of the reason why we had NYSC then in the 70s was because of national development. Now, let me start with Dr. Ashimi. Now, will you say this reform is long overdue? Let's start with that. Do you think it's long over? Looking at the objective of the NYSC scheme dated back 1976, I think. Now, do you think before now this reform should have come in, and if the present one that is being worked on, it will change a lot of things? Okay, thank you for having me this morning. Now, the typical Nigerian thing is that we start something, we don't review, and years go by and it has outlived its usefulness, and we continue with it. We inherit laws from our colonial masters, laws that maybe were enacted in 1860 something, and we are still using the same law when the owners of the law have reviewed these laws like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So it's typical of us. Now, since the inception of the NYSC program about 53 years ago, we would have looked at the trajectory of our economic development. Yes, reconciliation, reconstruction, and rebuilding were the 3 R's that were the core mandate of NYSC. But a lot of that has been achieved, okay? But our country still needs this youth. How can a country with the massive percentage of youth, the largest percentage of our population, unlike in some countries like France and Co, are youth in their productive age, or in what should be their productive age, and they're underutilized? Yet we take up a whole 1 year that does not really, in the real sense, add value to them. Only provides cheap labor to some state governments over 1 year, especially in education and health, and they are posted arbitrarily everywhere, and it does not matter what they particularly bring or what value they gain or is added to them in the course of the year. Also, a lot don't really come out better than they went in. Though you will find certain individuals who will tell you that it was during that 1 year that they decided to go and learn hairdressing, tailoring on their own volition, not as if it is a core part of that program. Or they were lucky to have been posted into a place where they could learn new skills. But it's not the core mandate of the program. So over the years, 53 years, we should have reviewed this program to reflect the realities of our country. Countries don't become great by all those, by philosophy, so to say. They become great by value addition to what we have. If you see countries like China, you see how children are groomed from, kindergarten, even trying to make things with plastic, let's say, learning tailoring, they use plastic scissors and all that. They learn to organize, they learn to look at processes from the beginning to the end in playful manner. But for us, we have an educational system that, I'm sorry to say, has not been able to bridge the gap, has not been able to create a marriage between the town and the gown. Unlike if you go to the United States now, California is the 6th largest economy in the world. That California as a state and its economy revolves around a particular university, Stanford University. And they are the ones that produce, even the Silicon Valley that we talk about is a product of that university. And so when we look at our educational system and what is able to turn out, there is a problem. And so what the new reform is trying to do is, okay, understanding that education is not enough, skill acquisition is the in thing now, is now reforming that 1 year to add to the value of the graduates, so that they can bring something into the economy. I think we'll discuss, but there is also something that was missed before that stage, and that is looking at the 6334 educational system. It is not everybody that graduated from JS3 that is supposed to go to SS. Okay, at that level, it is actually a point where some people would move to technical schools. But in Ogun State alone, for example, how many technical schools do you have that would take care of all of those? Okay, in Lagos State and all of that, and these are the people that should be the ones to provide the technicians, for some of them along the line, they may still end up after the technical school, go to the polytechnics to advance their courses. That should be the trajectory. But everybody from BESE, whether they had F9 and all that, will go to SS. And then at SS, you see people now having 6 F9, 3 Ps, and all that. And they are still there thinking of one day going to the university. Academy, being knowledgeable and all of that, being useful, being valuable, has nothing necessarily to do with the fact that somebody has 9 A1s. Those people that had F9 all through, it does not mean that they are dull in the real sense. They may not be so suited for the academic aspect like that, but they will still find usefulness in skills that they can do with their hand. Let me just round off with one example. When I was in junior secondary school, we used to do TD, technical drawing and all that thing. There was this guy, his name was also Kule, and we nicknamed him after our technical teacher, Mr. Walter. So we used to call him Walter. The only thing he will pass is TD. The only thing he will pass. Every other thing, PF. Along the line, I don't know who advised him. Then he left school, went to one place where they repair Mercedes-Benz on Ailara Street in Yaba, and he learned. Within 2 years, people will boast and say, Kunle can if you pieces the engine of a Benz in his absence, it will piece everything together. That it became very popular within 2 years. So it does not mean that he's an Olodo because he wasn't passing English, maths, geography and all that. That is not the way his brain is wired. And before you realize, while we were still struggling to look for university admission, this guy has already started good life. So please, in the first place, our cultural, our societal view of people who don't pass WAEC is one fundamental problem here. Because they have other usefulness. They can be very good in other things that we cannot be. So if we also need to go back with that reform to take care of that level, which is what we are trying to correct in front at the NYSC level.
Okay. All right, now, Ustaz, let's look at the reforms, the key reforms that were mentioned while the man in charge came out to tell us that the federal government has approved. He talked about orientation camp moved from 3 weeks to 6 weeks. Then specialized career streams, skill-based development, security-focused posting, technological-driven mobilization, civilian leadership, improve camp standards. So let me go back with what Dr. Kule Ashimi said. Let's look at the skill-based development now, deployment now. If it is actually, NYSC scheme is actually to ensure that we have good innovations, tap from that level and use it in developing Nigeria. And then for some years, that was done before the decline in what the usefulness was before this reform. How can we go back to using this scheme? Now it's becoming a reform. How can we use this scheme now to ensure that the skill gap that we have in the industries, in manufacturing and all that is being tapped from the NYSC level?
Well, thank you once again. It's a pleasure being here. When I got to know that I'm going to PR Dr. Ashimi, I told your producer that come. I came to observe, and both of us smiled. But really, you can't sit down with Dr. Ashimi and have a dull moment. That's the honest truth. And that's why even when he was opening up, I was enjoying it. And I felt, don't ask me, just let us communicate to him. But I'm honest about that, because the way he opened up, he has touched almost everything that we need to look at on this program. But let me start by saying that this is one government. This is a President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's government. It's one government that I don't envy. In fact, I can use the word pity. I pity the government because he wants to do everything we've not done in the past 5-6 decades, just within the 8 years of his tenure. Or within these first 4 years. Let's pray he gets the second term. And that's why a lot of reforms are coming up. A lot are coming up. You know, let's look into this, let's look into that. He opened by telling us that there are some laws that were so obsolete that even those that gave us the law have changed the laws within their system, but we haven't. And the NYSC, scheme happens to one also. There are so many other ones that this government can't finish everything. But there have been some challenges. I'm coming to the issue of skill, etc. There have been challenges to a lot of those things you read out. And I feel that people just need to pay attention to, what the government is planning. It's not just saying that, okay, they said this. We need to look at what is bringing out this thinking. Because Albertinson told us when he said the thinking, and the attitude that brought us to the level we are is not the same thinking and attitude that will take us to the next level. In other words, the environment created the thinking and attitude that made you to suggest this and this for this thing. Now, after some time, you need to sit down and take a holistic review of that thinking and attitude if you must get out of it. So, like he has said, the thinking that brought about the NYSC was a good one. But after 5 decades, I think we need to take a look at, do we still need it? Is it relevant? Given the circumstances that we are having, insecurity here and there, it's not working any longer. Now to the question of the skill, he has equally mentioned. Recently, government said they want to scrap the GSS3, SS3 thing. And I was one of those that, took up the government on that point, that it seems the minister or whoever is thinking along that line doesn't understand the primary reason of that policy in the first place. It came when I was in secondary school. That was in 78, 79. Jack Conde, they didn't call GSS3, SS3. It wasn't what they are calling now, but Jacondi came and said, look, it's not every child that is dull. We need to explore the technical aspect of our life. And he brought up this system, metal work, wood work, all those things came. And they built laboratory, for this, and workshops for this. I went to CMS Grammar School in Lagos. We had a very large expanse of land. So they leveraged on it, built a lot, and a lot of classrooms that were just empty. So it came, brought in machineries, lathe machine. It was, thank God to Baba Jacondi late. It was then I got to look at this in lathe machine. And these are the things the things can do. So that was the system. That once you do the first 3 years of exam, and you notice that you're not good academically, you can go to the technical or vocational aspect. That was what brought about the whole thing. Now, they needed to separate the schools. I need to do this for me to be able to do justice to that your question.
All right.
Now, during the Obasanjo's period, it came that there was a conference, and UNESCO said, UNESCO I think, but one of the agents of the United Nations said, for any child to survive in the 21st century, there must be 9 years of continuous education. So, Nigerian government now felt we want to make it compulsory, that every Nigerian child must have 9 years of that compulsory education. And they said, okay, fine, how do you do it? Federal government said they would take over that element of the cost, the burden. So they said, okay, we'll take primary school and the first 3 years in secondary school to make 9 years. So state government were asked to send in the list and etc., and they separated the thing then. So that's what happened. So that was the genesis to these, GSS, SS. So they separated. State government took over senior secondary school, while federal government took over primary 1 to primary 9. That's how it is known, And under UBEC, SUBEB was for the state. A lot of money came up, intervention came up. We need to understand this. It was because we did not pursue this the way it should be pursued that made people to be dropping out. Yes, the minister was right that they look at the statistics. And that shows that not all those that came out of the secondary, JSS, eventually transmitted or transited into, GSS. I agree with him. And they want to reduce this, out of school children population. I agree. But what they did not look at is what happened. Why were we having these? It was because they did not invest properly in that policy. Now, the same thing has happened, became so huge, become a snowball of challenges for us as a nation, wherein our children or people of GSS cannot boast of any technical skill. I had a contract I did something about 10 years ago, and the person that was overseeing that project happens to come from, I think, Ireland. And he wanted to do a wall, and I gave him a bill. He now said, if he were to be in Ireland, he wouldn't have awarded this as a contract because he has been trained to do it. I know that I'm communicating.
Yeah.
So at what level do we lose it out? What's the number of those that come from China to become big boys over us here? We're not really engineers, they're just technicians here and there. So that is what I think this scheme is looking at. How can we, okay, fine, we've gone through all this, and most of them are not employable. We've seen many programs there. We have many programs where they said even the so-called graduates are not employable. They don't have any skill to offer. I don't know you're getting it. Some could not even write proper application. So it's not like, how do we now bridge this gap? What do we do as a stopgap, to prevent, and that's why I think this NYSC program is a good one, tailored towards solving that problem. Maybe not everything at once, but the low-hanging ones. Let's see how we can use that gap to change some of these orientation they are bringing from the university. The orientation of, I'm now a graduate, I should be an Oga. I don't know how I'm communicating. Look, in the US military, you see people that have attended colleges, high school, colleges, universities, and you see them that they are in other ranks in the US Army. I don't know how I'm communicating. But you don't see such in Nigeria. Everybody wants to be a senior officer. And that is why, even at low level, you don't see many Southwesterners at the low level of military or the police. And when you go to other countries, you see people that have gone through the university and they are in the other ranks. I don't know, So these are the things we need to get corrected within our system. And the only way we can start doing that for people at that level is getting through this orientation all over again, giving the serious business, serious thinking, investing more. It's going to cost government more money. That are one of the challenges of, criticism of people. 6 weeks of orientation. Somebody even told me that a number of them will come out pregnant. I said, these are adults. They were in school for 4 years together. Yeah. And I said, no, you don't understand. You are camping them together. Camping them together, they are adults. They should be able to manage their life. Those are flimsy excuses as far as I'm concerned. But the challenge of cost, investing more money on the part of government, I can understand. Okay. However, I think with the current situation of Nigeria financially, we should thank this government that they are taking the bull by the horn and wanting to damn the consequences. Look, let's do this. Other, past government are like, just leave it. Just leave it. Let's continue. We don't have nobody. So it's a good one for us. Increase the skill, open people up to new skill, let them understand. Look, as I'm sitting here, I'm not a science student. I wasn't a science student. Do you know I'm now certified as a technician, electrical technician, with NYSC, because I realized I need to do something in my life. And what I came with, the skill I came in with, might not help me going forward. So I needed a new skill set. So I went into the training, organized by government, free. They told me it's not meant for me at 60. What do you want to do? I said, I don't need your money. Just let me come and be enjoying the lecture. And they allowed me to. Eventually I came up, became certified. Those are the kind of things.
At least you'll be able to consult for people.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing now. And I'm making money out of that already. But I wasn't a science student. I was not given to it. But I realized that if I must take my life to a new level, I need to get a new skill. Something new was coming. This is the kind of thing government is trying to do with this thinking, with this, NYSC, rethinking. And I pray that we're able to follow it because the parliament is a challenge. Yeah. It can't go ahead without going through the necessary changes, amending the law. Yeah. I just pray the Nigerianism in us will not eventually make it to get stopped.
Okay, Dr. Ashibi, before Taiwo will take over. Now, if we allow the stopgap measure that we want to use NYSC to do or perform, won't it be too long for us? I mean, you have left those children from the very formative age that you have given them those innovative power, skill power, and you allow them to go through secondary school, university, and just for 12 months, you want them to have the total skill to come with innovation that will drive the economy of Nigeria. Is it not a true grown adult for that ability to perform the magic that we want them to perform?
Okay, thank you. Now, you refer to it as a stopgap. It isn't. Okay. It's actually a step forward. When people want to make progress, one step alone is something. Okay. If you say some other persons have taken 10 steps, it's fine. They have made further progress. But this person has also made progress. And then we would now look at it holistically and say this and this and this need to come. Now you want to build a $1 trillion economy. That is the goal of this current government by 2030. It is possible. If you look at some countries, okay, let's take China for example. The trillions of dollars, the power of China does not come from those big industries. No. It comes from small cottage industries, some not bigger than a one-room apartment. Okay? And we will say that, for example, if you look at this pen, okay, all that a particular industry is responsible for is just this tip. This one that presses it. Okay? And that is all they do in that one-room apartment. And they make money, they take care of themselves. If there's any innovation, it's going to come from there. Okay, and they continue like that. Somebody else is responsible. So one big factory will now bring everything together and make it into one. Okay, and they make the bigger money. But the point is that somebody is already making something here. So now for Nigeria to move forward, number one, we first have to have this mindset that we would rather have job owners, job creators than job seekers. Our university prepares students to be job seekers, not entrepreneurs. Okay? And so if we can still use this level to change, because if we have to wait for so many years to go back to the roots, it's going to be a problem. But what I would hope is that government would, as they are doing this, still go back to the very root. I'll give one small example. When I was in secondary school, there happened to be the fact that some sets above mine were not doing well in mathematics. What the school did, they had a PTA meeting, and it was agreed that the oldest, calmest, most knowledgeable of our maths teachers should go back to JS1.
Okay.
You know, so that the foundation will be laid. And up till today, it has been like that, and tremendous progress is being made, and the school has remained on top in mathematics. Okay, so starting now is not too bad. We'll still work our way backwards. And I'll also tell you that even within this Abeokuta, I've heard that there is a particular big restaurant that started during, I think it was 2006, they had that sport festival. A youth couple came to this town and wanted to quickly make some money. Side hustle, started selling food on this roadside along, and by the time the program was over, decided to say, why? I can stay in this town, and then has grown that business big today. And those skills to cook obviously may have come from the home, or maybe could have been learned. Okay, the people that make the most money in this country are not graduates. If we aggregate or we take averages, some vulcanizers take home as much as 30,000 in a month, which is what some graduates are struggling to try to earn, you know, and all of that. I've seen a place where they said this is a school, this person is a master's degree holder, and when I heard the salary, I said, for God's sake, and you walk along the street and you look down on a organizer, I said, these people make more money than you after all your masters and all that. The difference is in the skills. I have a friend who is a doctor who is into catering. Now, I have also, there used to be a guy, I don't know whether he's still around, who happened to have been the most expensive, more versatile cake maker in this country, but was trained as a lawyer and a male. Okay, so those extra skills I have seen applied in different places. I have seen one of my friends is an investment banker, but he was never trained as he was trained a science student actually, and then he ended up there because he was able to acquire certain skills by just, you know, observing with some people, volunteering, and before you realize it, he's into it. You know, I know somebody who is a very big accountant now who actually graduated with industrial chemistry. So the honest truth is that we need to understand that to build that $1 trillion economy is not about all those big industries. How about those people who made shoes, you know, slippers, and they're improving by the day, if you understand. And that is where it will come. I know a man, all he does is he exports zobo, the leaf, the hibiscus flower, and he's stupendously rich. But those flowers come from somewhere. It is here in this country that they grow them. It is here in this country that they grow ginger and all of those things. So if you look at when you call people farmers, oh, he went to school, and I know a lot of people. In fact, this morning as I was coming, I saw somebody who is a technical officer at a level somewhere, and I looked into his car, I was like, if you see, the boot was filled with eggs, crates of eggs, big ones, that was going somewhere to supply. He makes 3, 4, 5 times from there than the regular employment that he has. So when NYSC now say that we're going to have 11 core areas where people can say, okay, at the time when you are filling your form, you tell us what you are interested in. Is it agri? And then you will take you in there and you will focus on, okay, is it animal husbandry, or you want to go into crops? What do you need? This. I then also hope that government will now be able to back it up with a scheme that will, you know, bring in the fund. What they do in some countries is that the government is also a part owner of that business. That way it won't fail. Okay, you have, okay, this is what you do. We give you 1 hectare of land to be able to do this. This is the funding. and then government says we own 20% of that over 10 years, and then government will withdraw, and then it becomes fully yours. And so a lot of, because government is also investing in it, whatever else is required, including training and retraining, creating the market, okay, would also come in place. So that, for example, you see a lot of farmers in so many other countries, it's not as if they're able to sell everything in the market. Yes, you have the marketing board, agri marketing board, and government can buy off you and find the market abroad. And if they like, let them go and give some countries for free. After all, that is the way some countries, you know, kill our own agric industry, by bringing those things in at lower rates or as aid and all of that. So government will invest in them, be part owners over, they will take that journey over a period of time, and then they go. And those who want to be in enterprise, those who want to be in digital economy and all of that, you will make that choice.
Right from there.
Right from the beginning, and then they know where to post you. Ustaz was talking about the National Assembly. Let me tell you where I know the Assembly will have problem. There is a clause in that place that is saying that the posting will not be done blindly anymore.
Yeah.
Because one of the criticisms is the level of insecurity in certain places.
Exactly.
So it then requires that if you want, you know, whether you like it or not, that cheap labor is still going to be there.
Of course.
You know? So if you want that cheap labor, there is a price you must pay. There's something you must do as the governor. Guarantee the security, make your state secure. Otherwise, nobody is coming. And so the governor will call the reps from his state and the Senate and say, please, oh, that bill must not pass, because it's going to deprive us of these youth corpers whom they have been using to augment their labor, you know, and all that. So they will do everything to kill this bill. I can assure you, it's not going to sail smooth, even though it has the potential to take Nigeria, if not to that $1 trillion economy, at least something to about $600 or $700 billion economy over the next 5 years if it's well implemented. And we have our youth who are skilled and everything doing their thing. Okay? Even if all we have in Ogun State, we say, okay, in Ogun State becomes known for Adire, you see that Adire will now become different. Because you are bringing in people who have been to school and back. What changed the Adire market? What do you think changed the Adire market in Itoku? Because a lot of those old women, their children came back who had been to university. Some of them, they are master's degree holder. Some of them, you just see that shop, Kokolo, and you say, it's a lie. If you know what those people export, you understand? The packaging and everything has become different. So you don't have a section on
the digital marketing.
A lot.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it is you that would tell them the design you want, and you want 500 pieces, 20,000 pieces, and they do it for you. Education has changed the Adire market there. Okay, and see what government has also done to rebuild that place. You know what it used to be before? This, all those things. But you can't come to that place now and not believe that you have come to something of an international standard. Okay, so if government will now look at that model and say, okay, what has happened to that Adire market? Let this happen to the shoe market in Aba and all of that, or whatever else anybody does here in this country. It is what we need.
Okay.
All right, let's move briefly away from the skill-driven model, because it seems to be the biggest when we talk about, you know, part of the plan of that reform. Let's look at national integration, which is one of the key reasons why this, you know, the youth service corps was, you know, part of the goal and the mission, the objective of the youth service. Ustaz, now, looking at this, we know that because of the issue of insecurity, you know, a lot of youth corps members do not want to go to some certain areas. And one of the reform is also talking about the risk-sensitive deployment, that some of them will be deployed to, you know, areas very close to, you know, this, you know, young graduates. Now, don't you think this will also defeat or jettison the importance of this national integration, national, you know, coherence, where you know, from someone from the south who go to the north, who understand that side of the country, and someone from the north will come down here and understand. Do we need to, part of this reform, we need to, also jettison the importance of this integration for national development at this particular? I understand the place of insecurity, but do we need to now throw it out and say it's less important at this? We've had youth corps members who met someone from the north and they got married, and they are producing kids from the south and the north, and making a family.
Well, thank you. First, let me tell you that technology has made it so possible for integration to happen without having to be there. And we just have to acknowledge that. My daughter got married to somebody from Edo. But when they got married, when they met, that person was in Ghana. I don't know how you're communicating. He was in Ghana, doing his universities in Ghana when they met. They met via this social media platform. Eventually became married. They have a child now. They live in Abuja, both of them. My daughter did not have to go to Ghana. That person could have been a Ghanaian, for all you care to know. It's through this platform. So what I want to believe is, it is not until I go there. However, the issue of national integration, let me take it this way. It was a beautiful thing when it came. What sustained NYSC was the love of Nigerian youth wanting to go. I know that you're getting it. Nigerian youth, they look forward to NYSC. They look forward to the other side of the world. They look forward to going
adventure
to
and all that.
They read about this and that, and they look forward to it. They no longer do that now because of the insecurity. So even if government is not talking of integration, I'm talking of security risk, etc. A number of states have come up to say our children from this state will not go to certain area. It's happening already. It became a big issue in the Senate. But some states said no, because of this and that, none of us will go to that area. And when you look at it, even NYSC has systematically, looked at, they strategized with its posting. You will notice that quite a number of people now don't go outside their region. If you look at it, it's not as if you not see people that go from maybe southwest to north, but it did so drastically that they now move them around in their zone because of the insecurity. That's obvious thing. What I'm saying, trying to say, is it does not limit our integration. And I want to remember the famous quote by two of our, founding fathers, Nnamdi Azikiwe and what do you call it? Tafawa Balewa, the premier of the northern region. Abaka. No, the other one. Ahmadu Bello. When Zik said, it was quoted to have said, let's forget our differences and move as a nation. Ahmadu Bello told him, we cannot forget our differences. We are still there. But we need to acknowledge and recognize our differences. And that's what we're not doing. You see, the military tried to impose what will not work on us. And it's the honest truth. We have to. You see, integration, we are one nation, has not really worked. We need to be honest. And that's why, when you look at the thrust, the policy thrust of this present government, it is taking us back to the regional system. You just have to acknowledge that it is taking us back to that regional government where we have independence and competition going on. So what I'm saying in essence is, nothing really has happened differently. It's just that the system is looking at what is emerging in us as a nation and taking decision that is matching the emergence of those realities that we are having. And that's just it. I will not be so comfortable to want my daughter or my child to want to go outside the region called Southwest for any reason, even for schooling, to North, because of insecurity. Are you getting it? I'd rather that person goes to Ilorin, goes to Ife, goes to UI, and all those universities. Even if it's going to be a private university, let it be within the area where we know we have control over. Those are the emerging realities that we need to do. So I don't see the integration you talk about, missing out. People can still on their own say, okay, I want to go Kano.
Without the
NYSC scheme. So we don't force anybody into it. Let's cover. Even the way they are posting, if any student said, maybe voluntarily applying to NYSC, I want to be taken to Sokoto I don't think they will say no. You understand? But don't make it a law to say we must post you to that far extreme. So I don't see that integration being affected in any way, because in a lot of other areas now evolved that I have friends anywhere, you know, on the social media, and we communicate, relate. Technology has really taken that away from us.
Sorry, let me add something. You see, the last part of your discussion, you see, the point is you cannot force people to integrate. And you cannot, just like forcing two people to get married. Okay, a few may be lucky to now find some reasons to continue, but most will always have their differences displayed. Nigeria is a very beautiful country. Let me say that I have traveled to all of the 37 states, or including FCT, at least before I was 25 years old.
Okay. I haven't gone to 37.
So I tried to do the same for my children. But unfortunately, they were only able to make 12 before this insurgency became a terrible thing. In fact, one day we drove up to the Niger Bridge, and I promised that, okay, by your next holiday, we will cross it. Because we had a date in Ibuzo to go and eat in Salah and pounded yam on a Sunday morning before we start going back. And that brings me to the food. If all you have ever done is to eat amala and ewedu, jollof rice and all that, you are missing. Of course. Travel around Nigeria and you will see food, you know, and you start craving for them right here in Ogun State. And you know, somebody, you know, one of my friends recently, I was in Kano and it begged me for asala, walnut, that he stays in Sokoto. I had to buy. I told some of my colleagues, please, anytime you see asala, for about 2 months they were looking for it. When they got it, I packaged it. I didn't get a vehicle going to Sokoto. I got one going to Kebbi. From Kebbi, can you imagine? He carried it around the office and say, see, somebody got me. Do you understand what I'm saying? And that integration is like that, across from here to Sokoto. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Now, I'm speaking to somebody here in the East on a certain thing that you say, that's, you know. So Nigeria is a beautiful country until you travel around. But this insecurity spoils everything. I tell you, in all those years, I had no fear. In the last 5-6 years, to go to Benin, I go and take flight. It doesn't make sense because there are so many things you miss on the road. I recall when we drove to Abuja with my children, and then we had to stop. You know, as we were traveling, I was showing them, now see, this is the rainforest, as they taught you. And then as we were transiting, we got to Abajana. I said, let's park. Now look, see, they are now sparse. We are moving from the rainforest to the savannah, the Sahel, as we go along. And they will see it live. So traveling is education. You get to also understand people's culture and a lot of things. Some of the things you take for granted and all of those things we are missing in this country. So insecurity is one big issue for the NYSC as it is now. And I like the fact that in this new reform, each state government has a task. If you want to enjoy these people, then you have to make your state secure. Meaning that there must be some level of accountability, there must be a level of responsibility, while at the same time, the individual gaining skills and the country gaining improved GDP.
Okay, now the one thing I also saw in the reform is the civilian leadership.
Yes.
And I think that reform should be looked into for me if we want to look at the situation of security these days. Will civilian leadership of NYSC take the lives and property of those that will be security-wise, you know, the security apparatus will have everything on ground for them. As a civilian leader for NYSC, you have to seek approval sometimes. Sometimes it will not come early for you. But for military, you know, you have a standby apparatus for you. When you call, they come in. Can we look into that? Will that reform stay or not when it comes to the leadership?
The military leadership is about running the program, interpreting the blueprints and all of that. security provision still lies with those who are supposed to provide the security. Okay, it is now civilian centric because now you need somebody who is going to drive this program that is about skills, not about regimentation.
Thank you.
Not about every morning. No. It was military led because one, it was a military government that started it, and the only thing they had in mind is regimentation.
And really, I think
and then you see the way they dress, the way they I made a point to note that some countries also have this kind of thing. Israel, Egypt, there is Malaysia, there is Chile, and all of that. But the point is, at the level of our development, regimentation is not what we need. We need people, look, in that same camp, some people will stay awake in the night because it is at that time that what they have put in for works best. Okay, for some they will drool, sleep till 8 because what is the point? What they want to do, what they are putting for is something that starts when the sun is up. So you don't put everybody together and you straight jacket everything and all that. So the issue of being security military led or civilian led now is about the program. Those who provide the security are still the police, the military, and all of that. But again, if the host, who is the governor, is able to put everything in perspective or the way it should be, then we should not fear for the security and the lives of the people who are going.
Okay, last thing now, Mustaza.
Okay.
You can go on.
No, quickly. We are having military governments. Now we are civilian government. The person that our president now is an Agbada, and they control the military. The same thing is what is going to happen over there. Simple as it is.
Okay, is the uniform being talked about? Is it necessary?
No, the uniform is going to change.
It's going to change.
Is it necessary?
Yes. You see, there is something just like you. Even look at little children. When a private security man who is the guard in a bank is coming, we will scare them, say, see, Olokpa is coming, police is coming. It's a mentality that we are built in. And so they are dressing, look at even the way the belt is made, the shoe, it's that military centricity. Okay. It's what you need to take it out, to be able to bring them to recondition. Exactly. That they are more relaxed to do what we want them to do now.
Okay, Taiwo, we need to leave.
It's been an interesting edition, and I feel like we should continue. I want to thank you, our guests, Ustad Jibril Lawal and Dr. Kunle Ashimi. We thank you for coming on the program, and that's the show this morning.
Our viewers want to thank you. This is a reform that Nigerians think will transform the economic landscape if those youths are made them to be innovative enough and put in the skills that they have learned. Let's support the federal government when the reform actually kickstarts, because it's just in the pipeline and a lot of amendments will be done. For Nigerians, they are waiting, and I know that Nigeria receives reforms, but the implementation should be grounded by the federal government and make it known to everybody. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program. Thank you, our viewers, too, and that is the size of the program. We'll see you again on Friday with another set of people who will be doing New Dawn. See you. Bye-bye.